Picture this. You just got a raise, a real one, maybe 15–20% more than what you were making before. You've been working hard for it. You deserve it. And for about a week, you feel genuinely wealthy. Then, something strange happens. You upgrade your lunch. You start looking at nicer apartments. You tell yourself you deserve a better car now. And by the time 6 months have passed, you look at your bank account and think, wait, shouldn't I have more money than this? Here's the wild part. You actually do earn more, quite a bit more, but somehow you feel just as financially stuck as before. This isn't a discipline problem. It's not laziness. It's not even really your fault. It's a psychological trap so deeply wired into how humans think about money that economists gave it a name. And once you understand it, you'll never look at a pay rise the same way again. Let's talk about a guy named Marcus. Marcus earns £28,000 a year at 24. Life is tight. He budgets carefully. He cooks at home. He takes the bus. He's not happy about it, but he makes it work. Then, at 27, Marcus lands a better job. He's now on £42,000. That's a massive jump, nearly 50% more income. So what does Marcus do? He moves into a nicer flat, because he can now. He buys a car, because commuting by bus feels beneath his new salary. He starts eating out more, upgrading his wardrobe, going on holidays he used to only see on Instagram. Each decision feels completely reasonable in isolation. Why shouldn't he live better? He earned it. He worked for it. But here's the problem. Marcus's savings don't grow. Not really. Because every time his income went up, his expenses quietly followed, like a shadow that never falls behind. 3 years in, Marcus is earning more money than he ever imagined at 24, and he's saving almost the same percentage he was then, close to nothing. This is what economists call lifestyle inflation, and it's one of the most invisible wealth killers out there. So why does this happen? Why do intelligent, hard-working people keep falling into this trap? It starts with something called relative thinking. Human beings are not wired to think in absolutes. We think in comparisons. You don't feel rich because you have a certain number in your account. You feel rich or poor relative to the people around you, relative to where you were last year, and relative to what you think someone in your position should have. So when your income goes up, your frame of reference shifts. You're no longer comparing yourself to the person you were. You're now comparing yourself to the people at your new income level. And suddenly, the things they have start feeling like the things you need. Psychologists call this social comparison theory, and it doesn't care how much money you earn. It just keeps moving the goalposts. Here's a simple way to see it. Imagine a ladder. At the bottom rung, you're earning £20,000. You look up and think, if I could just get to that rung, things would be fine. Then you get there. And now you're looking at the rung above that. You're always climbing, but the top always seems just as far away. This is why lottery winners often end up broke, not because they're irresponsible, but because their frame of reference explodes overnight and their spending explodes with it. Now layer on top of that something called hedonic adaptation. This is your brain's superpower and its biggest financial weakness. Whatever you experience regularly, your brain gets used to. The fancy flat that felt amazing in month 1, by month 6, it just feels like home. The nice car you were so excited about, by year 2, it's just the thing you use to get to work. You adapt to your upgrades, and then you need new upgrades to feel the same level of satisfaction. It's like a treadmill. You keep running, the scenery keeps looking the same. Here's where it gets really interesting. Most people assume that earning more money automatically means building more wealth, but that's not how wealth actually works. Wealth isn't what you earn. Wealth is what you keep. More specifically, it's the gap between what comes in and what goes out, and what you do with that gap. Let's go back to Marcus. Say Marcus keeps his lifestyle roughly where it was when he was earning £28,000, just with small, considered upgrades, nothing dramatic. He resists the urge to scale everything up. On £42,000, even after taxes, he now has a meaningful gap each month, let's say £700 to £900 more than he used to have available. If he redirects that into a stocks and shares ISA, index funds, or even a high-yield savings account, something that grows over time, that gap starts working for him. Compound interest doesn't care about your lifestyle. It cares about the money you give it to work with. But if Marcus spends that gap on the flat, the car, the restaurants, compound interest has nothing to work with. The money goes out the door every month and builds nothing. This is the core mechanic of lifestyle inflation. It doesn't just stop you from getting richer, it actively cancels out the advantage of earning more. Think of it like filling a bucket with a hole in the bottom. You pour in more water, great, but if the hole grows at the same rate, the water level never rises. Here's the deeper psychological truth that most financial advice glosses over. We are not rational about money. We're emotional about money. When your income goes up, you don't just experience a financial change, you experience an identity change. You start to see yourself differently. You feel like a different kind of person, and different kinds of people, you assume, live different kinds of lives. This is called identity-linked spending. You spend not just because you can, but because you're trying to signal to yourself and others who you now are. The problem is, identity is expensive, and it's never quite finished. There's also something else going on, called mental accounting. When we get a raise, our brain creates a new mental category, extra money. And extra money, psychologically, doesn't feel like the same category as regular money. Regular money you're careful with. Extra money feels like it's somehow up for grabs. This is why people who would never casually burn through their monthly salary will happily spend a bonus in days. The brain treats found money and extra money as somehow less real, less serious, and that makes it extraordinarily easy to spend. Understanding these psychological patterns isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about seeing the game clearly so you can play it differently. So what do you actually do with this? The answer isn't to live like a monk and never enjoy your income growth. That's not realistic, and honestly, it's not the point. The point is to close the gap on purpose. Here's a simple principle that changes everything. It's called saving the raise. Every time your income increases, whether it's a promotion, a side income, a bonus, anything, before you touch it, before you upgrade anything, before you tell your lifestyle about it, you redirect a meaningful portion of that increase straight into savings or investments. Automate it, make it invisible. Pay your future self first. You might allow yourself to enjoy some of the increase. Maybe a third goes to improving your lifestyle, but at least half goes directly to wealth building before your brain has a chance to get used to it. Because here's what happens when you do this. Your lifestyle improves gradually, your savings grow significantly, and the gap that compounds over time starts doing serious work. At 27, if Marcus redirects £600 a month into a low-cost index fund and earns an average of 7% annually, which is historically very achievable over long periods, by 47, he's looking at well over £300,000 just from that gap, just from that one decision to not let lifestyle catch up to income. The second thing you can do is create a spending delay rule. When income goes up, impose a waiting period of 90 days before upgrading anything significant. In those 90 days, save the extra money. At the end of 90 days, if you still want the upgrade, review it calmly. Sometimes you'll still want it, sometimes you won't, but you'll decide from a position of clarity rather than excitement. The third, and this might be the most powerful, is to define enough.
Most people never do this. They just assume that wanting more is natural, so they keep wanting more. But what if you actually sat down and decided, this is the kind of life I want? This is what enough looks like for me. Not endless growth, not keeping up, just enough. When you define enough, lifestyle inflation loses its grip because you're no longer chasing a moving target. You've planted a flag. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. The people you see who appear wealthy, the ones who seem calm about money, who aren't constantly grinding and worrying, they're usually not earning dramatically more than everyone else. They just found the gap. They protected it, and they let time do the rest. The trap isn't that you earn more. The trap is believing that earning